Let's talk about my top 5 celebrity interviews. That's right. When I was working as a marketing officer at Worthing Theatres and Museum, I was privileged enough to get loads of content backstage. I made loads of videos with some of the acts that we got in the town and met some absolutely amazing people, and I have so many interviews that I've done. But today I'm going to talk about the top 5 interviews that I've done, the kind of best acts, who was the most fun to hang out with, and share some stories with you. So let's start with number 5. Number 5, we have, drumroll, Gregg Wallace. Gregg Wallace, yes, the bald guy from Masterchef that doesn't really cook, but likes to eat a lot and, judge people's food. He was my first ever interview I did when I was an intern, and I was so nervous. I was like, I'm going to meet a celebrity. What is this thing? Celebrities are people too, And I was so nervous, and I set up the camera and everything, like loads of time in advance. And then when I met him, he was just so down to earth. He had so much time for me. He was really friendly, talkative.
When Kate got married to Will, they said to her, what will you be doing the night before the wedding? And she said, watching Masterchef, which is brilliant.
That's great.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. And he gave really interesting insights into the show, into like good food, good cooking practices. And it was really the start of my journey into interviewing celebrities. So Gregg Wallace, absolutely great guy. Thank you for that interview. Number 4, who do we have at number 4? They'll be getting juicier and juicier as we go on. Number 4, we have the one and only Ken Dodd. Now, Ken Dodd is a huge comedian who sadly passed away recently, a few years ago, and he was knighted shortly before that. He's been entertaining the nation for years and years and years and years, ever since the 60s, I believe, probably before then. And, very much grandparents' generation kind of entertainer. But he was a brilliant interview when he came to the Pavilion Theatre at Worthing. He would not stop talking. I was worried. I always prepare my questions in advance and I hope there's a good flow, but I just sat there and started listening to him ramble on about all these weird stories from his career, and he kept telling jokes. And the weirdest thing was, when I finished the interview, he said to me, Stephen, have you got a girlfriend? And I was like, at the time, I was like, no, actually I don't. It's like, one moment. He pulls out a suitcase, and out of his suitcase he brings this feather duster, and he's like, here you go. Now all the girls will chase after you. And I was like, what the hell is this feather duster? Turns out it's a tickle stick, and it's a really big deal for everyone who's a fan of Ken Dodd. He has tickle sticks in his show. So I still have that tickle stick, which I am ashamed to admit that I do use as a feather duster, which is really bad, isn't it? I should be keeping it safe, framed somewhere, but alas, no, it's covered in dust. Very good interview, Ken Dodd.
Well, my inspiration is making an audience laugh. It's the most wonderful feeling in the world to stand on the stage and see people rocking like that with laughter. It's a great experience.
Great guy. Despite all the tax evasion. This top 3 are absolutely amazing. I love them. So I'm going to go for Omid Djalili. That's right, Omid Djalili, comedian, absolutely amazing guy. You may know him from The Mummy, as he gets the scarab beetle up into his brain, runs into the wall, falls flat on his ass, and that's him done for the film, which is really sad because he's my favourite character. You might have seen him in Mamma Mia 2 and other bits and bobs like that. I absolutely love him. He is such an intelligent comedian. He puts on all his characters and personas, but actually he's really intelligent, really funny. When me and my friend Jake went to see him, we put a little request in the hat that he could stamp on his foot and do the noise that Godzilla would make if you stamped on his foot, sorry. And it was just so funny. He was a true gentleman. He, again, gave me so much time to talk to him. It wasn't rushed at all. And he was just so funny. He's still out on tour. Go and see him if you can. He's so good.
I think that, in one sense, variety is a spice of life. I think it's like with everything, we have a twofold moral purpose in this life. We're here to kind of develop ourselves, but at the same time, try and help an ever-advancing civilization, if I can say it in a very poetic way, to try and help the world. Because the two things are interlinked. The more you can help yourself, the more you're helping the world, and the more the world is helped, the more you can develop. So I think that that's another thing that a lot of artists try and do different things to help develop themselves.
Number 2, who do we have at number 2? It's very tricky to pick top two. I'm going to go with Basil Brush. Now, this is so close to being my number one. I love Basil Brush growing up as a kid. I used to watch it all the time. I'm a big fan of puppets, which you're probably going to see on this channel at some point. I'll probably be busting out some puppets. But Basil Brush, for me, I had a choice between going to a festival and seeing Nero, which would have been very cool, or going to Portsmouth with my brother to watch Basil Brush and interview him after the show, and Mr. Stevens as well. Crazy. Of course, I picked the second option there.
Today, my favourite joke is, what do you call a deer with no eyes?
What?
No idea. Boom, boom!
Saw the show, was really good, and then interviewed him backstage, and it's so weird because obviously there's a man with his hand in the puppet. No. But when you interview him and the character's alive, you're interviewing Basil Brush. You know, it's not the guy sitting here with his hand up his, is Basil Brush. And it was so much fun, and I told him a few jokes, and Mr. Stephen was the nicest guy ever. I mean, I can't keep saying the nicest guy ever, but you know what I mean. Mr. Stephen was so nice, and it was really sad because the show wasn't sold that well. We were having it in Worthing, it didn't sell that well either. And I guess it's just because he's not on TV as much anymore. But they do loads of great content on YouTube, and I think he's just as funny as ever. I think he's great. And he's been around since the friggin' forever. So, amazing interview. Did not use his tail as a feather duster.
Boom, boom!
And now we're down to number one. Who is my greatest interview of all time? Now, this one comes from a big fan crush. It has to be Newton Faulkner. Now, I absolutely love Newton Faulkner. My friend Nick introduced me to him, his music, and when I found out we were getting him in Worthing, I was like, if I can get an interview here, wow. And not only did I get an interview, I invited my friend Nick down. I didn't tell him anything about it. He didn't even know Newton Faulkner was playing, I don't think. And then I just took him backstage, and then I was like, oh, by the way, just to let you know, we're about to interview Newton Faulkner. And he was like, you can sit in the room as well. You can be my lighting man. And, did this interview with Newton Faulkner, and he was just so down to earth, so chill, lovely guy. He's such a talented musician. Again, hugely underrated, deserves so much more credit. He has diehard fans that know how good he is and will just follow him everywhere. He's such a talented guitarist, a great singer, and just a really nice guy, really zen. And again, I had a huge conversation with him. It wasn't rushed at all. It was relaxed. It was really insightful and just a lovely guy. I just felt like I could just hang out with him all night. But he did have a show to do. Then enjoyed the show, and then my friend has just not stopped talking about it ever since. And neither have I, to be honest. And I'm into him even more now. So I keep looking back on myself and thinking, damn, past Steve, that was good.
The first time was a real, kind of culmination of everything I've learned, especially over the last two. So between Studio Zoo and Human Love, which one probably went too far in one direction and one went too far in another. Like Studio Zoo had nothing on it at all. Then as a reaction to that, I thought, wow, I've got a license to use twice as much stuff as ever before. So I used all the drums in the known universe on Human Love. And then with this one, I was like, right, what did I learn from that? I learned how to record guitars. I learned how to kind of capture what I do live in kind of that setting. And I learned that something to modernise it goes a really long way. So just a sound that's not completely acoustic, I think, is vital in kind of letting you know that it was recorded in kind of this year and not at any point in history. And I think that's something that I do always kind of try and incorporate, something that kind of modernises what I'm doing, because it is, I'm playing an instrument that's just existed for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
so it's it's that thing of kind of trying to, I'm not trying to kind of properly keep up or join in with anything that's going on at the moment. I've kind of carved my own little space, and I kind of really like it there.
So yeah, that's my top 5 list. Not very diverse. You've got a 4-man and a puppet, so sorry about that. Now, I've interviewed a lot more people, and I can do a list of the 5 worst and weirdest interviews I've done that haven't gone well, or the people haven't been very nice. So if you want any juicy stories there, let me know in the comments below. Or if you just want to know about some other interviews that were quite fun or weird or wonderful or wacky, just let me know. I've got so many stories. Thank you for tuning in again to my channel. Let's talk about trying to talk about a load of diverse topics, lots of fun, and have a great week, guys. See you next time.